Welcome to EPG Padasala. I am K. Mavali Rajan, working in the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology, Vishwabharati University, Shantiniketan. In the paper on the economic history of India from early to 1700 AD, that module which I am going to deal with you about the economic conditions in South India during the Badami Chalukya and the Pallava period. Especially in economic history, my focus will be on the agriculture, trade and commerce, as well as the taxation policy of both the dynasties. So the objectives of the learning of that modules is mainly to understand the economic history of South India, especially the economic background of the Badami Chalukyas as well as the Pallavas. The another important aspect of in the objective to study the different kinds of the land tenure. So mainly focus on how the land tenure become very powerful, the instrument for the expansion of the agriculture as well as the agriculture based village industries. So then I am planning to focus on the irrigation system of that particular Badami Chalukyas and Pallava period. Then another important thing, trade and commerce also the most important aspects which developed for the emergence of the new commercial transaction between the inland and the external commercial transaction. For that, the merchant guilds also played vital role. That is also the important aspect which we have to discuss on the detailed manner. Then the coins and currency system also the important factor in the development of the economic activities, the taxation under the Badami Chalukyas as well as the Pallavas also is one of the objective to discuss in detailed manner in the modules. So the other things it is when you introduce both the dynasties of the South India. The Pallavas were powerful dynasty. They emerged as the independent kingdom in the middle of the 6th century AD, which was established by the Simhavishnu of the Pallava ruler. When he established, it was a kind of a new emerging regional powers in the South India. It's emerged as the independent power in the political history of the South India. The Pallava period we can consider, there we can bring many of the changes, the Pallavas that we can bring in when we study the Pallava history. The mostly in the cultural aspect, the Pallava period is most important. In the religion aspect also, the new religious ideas emerged, the Bhakti tradition emerged, the relationship between the devotees and the lords, that is also emerged in the Pallava period. By my focus on the economic history of the Pallavas and the Badami Chalukyas of that. Then another one important, if you look at the historical background of that things, that when you introduce of the economic aspect of the most important, the significant of the Pallava economy, it's the important, they brought many the wasteland and forest land under the cultivation of that. So another important things, when many of the inscriptions of the Pallavas, it speaks about a term which reflected in the many of the South Indian inscriptions, which means Kadu Vettigal. The Kadu Vettigal, it stands for those who remove the forest, clear the forest, then with the help of the clearing the forest, how the wasteland or forest land become fit for the cultivation. That's the one of the most significant of the Pallava period. These kind of the clearing forests, the new virgin soils become cultivable land, which lead for the rise and spread of a new settlement area. So then even the patronage of the royal patronage also the important. They extended the royal rulers, the royal family members, they supported their royal patronage to the construction of the new irrigation system. These kind of the agrarian changes which increase the rise of production, that it leads for a surplus production. The surplus production led to the growth of trade and commerce in that particular period. The economy of the Pallavas, of Chalukyas, of Badami was based on the agriculture based. Because of agriculture was mainstay of the people's economy during the early medieval period. Village enjoyed autonomy on the creating of the new settlement area as well as the created economic sustainability. The many lands were brought under the cultivation, then mostly they used the river water for agricultural purpose. The new tanks and canals and the water sources were constructed for the promotion of the agriculture. They produced their own food material as well as they manufactured their own the cloth materials also. So when we talk about the agricultural land of the Pallavas and the Badami Chalukya period, we find the many kinds of the land tenure. The land tenure, we can find the difference between the land tenure and land ownership of the early medieval period. Here, the land tenure of the Pallava period, which we can divide it on the basis of that land donated to the religious institution or land donated to the individual Brahmins or the other the social groups, land given to the another religious traditions. We get lot of references in the epigraphy as well as the other relevant source material. On the basis of the available source material, many lands were donated to the Brahmins. The Brahmin, that is called the Brahmadaya lands. If the lands donated to the temple, that is known as the Devadana. The land donation to the Jain monasteries, that is called as the Pallichandam. Then there is also reference of the Yeripatti, which means the land given for the renovation of the water tank of the villages. These kind of the lands totally exempted from the paying any land tax. So it's a kind of we can find the many of the 10. Not only the Pallavas or the Badami Chalukyas, they donated lands to the religious institution or the individual Brahmins. They also donated to the heroes of war heroes. So that when we see the relationship between the Brahmadaya landowners and the other tenant landowner, when we see on the basis of the sources, we can find that there was a kind of the feudal relationship between the landlord, whether it is a Brahmadaya or the Devadana land. We can find a kind of the feudal social formation from the Pallava period. So the king established a kind of a royal and the feudal relationship between the king and the landowners, the landowner between the tenants in the early medieval period. So it is the land tenure which the king established the many irrigation system which the land donated to the Brahmins. So they constructed many tanks and canals, wells for the irrigation purpose. These water sources were managed by the village assemblies sometime. Sometimes a separate committee also they manage the all irrigation system. That is the responsibility of the kings to appoint a separate official to look after to maintain the irrigation system of the early medieval period, particularly the Badami Chalukyas and Pallava period. So there on the basis of the Pallava records, that refers to the land tenure was divided into mainly three divisions. That is called one is called Payal Nilam, the second one Adai Nilam, and another one is Karai Nilam. It's on the basis of the share which the producer they get, on the basis of the king's share, on the basis of the periodical distribution among the tenant and cultivators. So that is the way it's another important aspects. If we discuss on the other part of the land tenure information, there on the basis of the condition of the soils, on the basis of the variety of the crops cultivated, on the basis of the fertility of soil, the crops were divided into two parts in the Pallava period. One is the Punpayir, another one Vanpayir. Here the Payir means the crops. The Punpayir mostly it's a seasonal cultivation. In the seasonal cultivation, mostly the paddy varieties, the minor millet, sesamums were considered as the Punpayir, or referred as in inscription, it is called in some Tamil inscription also speaks about it is Nansai and Punjai. That Nansai mostly it is a land which cultivated by the water available. The Punsai, it is the dryland cultivation. In the same way, during the Badami Chalukyas as well as the Pallavas, we can find the references to of the Punpayir and Vanpayir. Here, the Vanpayir mostly the garden cultivation, where the less water is available. There mostly the cultivated plantains, sugarcane, ginger, turmeric, fruits and other seeds. There another kind of the things we can find in the mostly in the part of on the basis of that the water available, on the basis of the cultivation of the paddy, the most of the agriculture land was used for the paddy cultivation only. They cultivated varieties of paddy. An inscription of the Pallava king Nandivarman III refers to a different variety of the paddy which cultivated by the people of the Pallavas. On the basis of the epigraphic evidences, there we can find the different kinds of the paddy variety that is referred in inscription, that is called Tellunellu, Irainel, Ainel and Narnel. These are there is also reference of the Pala Arisi, which considered as the old rice, which very suitable for the cultivation in the only wetland cultivation. Then there are also references to the cotton cultivation. The cotton cultivation was also important in the wetland cultivation. Mostly Brahmadeya and Devadana lands, they cultivated the coconuts, which because the coconuts they use in more number in the religious performance in pujas. That's why the Brahmadeya, which land controlled by the Brahmins, the Devadana, which the land controlled by the temple authority, they mostly encouraged to cultivate the coconut as the main cultivation in the temple lands. So they are also cultivated oil seed, the cotton also cultivated in large number, then medicinal plants also cultivated in the dry regions. These all the cultivation they have to pay, all the cultivators they have to pay the taxes directly to the Pallava state. That is then if you see the agricultural based village industries, the village industries were emerged in during the Pallava and the Padami Chalukya period. Many professional groups lived in the villages like the weavers, the spinners, the potters, the goldsmith, the carpenters, the artisan, oil pressure. They paid their professional taxes to directly to the Pallava state or the Padami Chalukya state. So, there are, if you look at the promotion of the agriculture, the irrigation important. So, to consider the importance of the irrigation of the Pallavas and Padabi Chalukya period, many sources of irrigation which were important in the agrarian expansions, mostly the people of both the dynasties, they used the river water. Apart from the rivers, they used the tanks, ponds, wells, canals, and other the water resources for the promotion of the agricultural activities. So there were many royal tanks which were we get it from the Pallava inscription, which referred as the Rajatadaka. A king constructed royal tanks in the all important the political as well as the cultural center. Mainly the Kuram copper plates of the Parameshwaran first of the Pallava ruler. It speaks about a tank which constructed by the Parameshwaran first in the name of Parameshwara Tadaka. Dams were constructed for irrigation as well as the temple purpose. There is the reference of the Mahendra Tadaka, Veera Megha Tadaka, some other references to the other tank of we'll get it from the inscriptional evidences. So, we find many references to other terms like Eri, Vaikal, some other slices kind of the things we get from the inscription. We find many kinds of these kind of the references in the Pallava period. There is reference about the Kaveri Pakam Eri, which was constructed by the Nandivarman III of the Pallava rural. The Eri and the other water sources were managed by a separate committee. That committee was known as the Eri Committee or the Eri Varium. That their main responsibility to maintain the water resources, to supervise the water resources in the Pallava country. We find evidences of the canals which we known as in the inscription as the Vaika. In Tamil inscription, canals were constructed from the rivers like Palar, Seyyar, Vahavadi and Pennar. They were known as the Atrukol. The following canals were also used for the irrigations. There is a reference in the Pallava inscription. It speaks about the Vairameha canal, Perumbidugu canal, Kanabadi Vaikal, Sridhara canal and other large number of wells also constructed during the Pallava period by the king for the irrigation development of the people. Next, when we discuss about the trade and commerce of both the dynasties, the trade and commerce which flourished in good manner, they're both internal and external trade. They involved the Pallava period mainly witnessed for the development of in the field of trade and commerce. Both internal and external trade was flourished. Many urban centers emerged in both the dynasties. Many commercial goods were brought from villages to urban center. Many commercial community involved in the transaction of the commercial center in the village market as well as the urban markets. So there are, if you discuss about the inland trade, there were many commercial centers emerged during the Pallava and Chalukya period. These urban centers were known as Nagaram in the Pallava inscriptions. These Nagaram, every Nagaram, they had their own market center. In village market, mostly the best articles were brought and they sold in the market. They sold different articles which including the 18 kinds of the grains. They also sold oil, ghee, areca nut, vegetables and other flowers and coconut sugar and other the consumable article also sold in the village market. For the village market, the people they had to get license from the kings or any other royal officers. The Pallava inscriptions speaks about the trade licenses and it's important in the commercial transactions. The licenses was granted by mostly the royal official. They had to pay regular taxes to the state. That is the regular practice during the Pallavas and the Chalukya period. Apart from the internal trade, we can find the practice of the external trade also in the Pallava and Chalukya period. The trade with foreign countries had been enriched. They had trade relations with the many foreign countries like Java, Sumatra, Kadaram, China and Burma. Mostly the spices, cotton materials, the precious stone and medicinal plants were exported those countries of that. So there were many port and commercial center in the inland trade. They also involved in the external trade. There we find many commercial center, mainly the Mamallapuram, Nagapattinam were the important commercial center which flourished in the Pallava period. The Mamallapuram was important seaport. It's often mentioned by the Vaishnava saint Thirumangai Alva. Huanswang also noticed about the port. It was cited in the Peripulus works as well as the Ptolemy's work. Roman had a trade relation with the Pallavas. We find the many of the Roman coins in the Pallava territory. So then the merchant had, after that when we discuss about the trader community, those who involve in the commercial transaction of in Nagaram center as well as the commercial center, they had their own organizations which mainly called on the basis of what the commodities they involve, from where they involve, on the basis of their location of the cities, on the basis of the commodity they deal with the trade activities. The most important, the merchant guilds during the Pallava period was the Manigramam. Another one important, the merchant guilds of the Pallava period, it is Nanodesis. They were also called as the Nanadesis. They mostly involved in the external trade. Those who engage in the foreign trade were known as the Nanadesi. Nagaram were also the important inhabitant of the village. They also involved in the trade and commercial activities. They were popularly known as the Nagarathar in the Pallava period. Then term Nanadesi here means the traders from the other kingdoms. They mostly involved in the external trade activities. They had a significant trade relation with the many areas and other countries, mainly with the Malaya, with Magad, with Koshala, with Nepal, with Persia. They had very close trade relation with these the territorial divisions. Next we'll discuss about the coins of the Pallavas and the Chalukyas. They issued large number of the gold coins, copper coins, as well as the bronze coins of that. Both the dynasties, they issued large number of the coins. The Badami Chalukyas minted many coins in their territories. The coins had mostly the Nagari script, which Kannada legend. The Pulikesin second of the Badami Chalukya period, he had issued number of the coins with bearing a symbol of the lion. Gold coins also issued, which is known as the Gatyana. Varaha was their royal symbol, which we find from their coins. You can see some of the coins of the Chalukyas. Then Pallavas also issued large number of the copper, lead and bronze coins. The evidences are available in Tondaimandalam and other regions how they issued the coins. What are the symbol we can find in the Pallava coins? Mostly the bull or lion symbol we find in early Pallava coins. 3 kinds of coins were excavated from the Kanjipuram. Mostly the coins are bearing the emblem of Nandi in one side and another side 2 ships are discovered. There is also a reflection of the wheel, umbrella, sangu, bull, lion and other the materials which we are found on the overseas of the Pallava coins. So these are some of the models of the Pallava coins which give the idea about the coinage system of the Pallavas and Chalukyas. Next we discuss about the taxation and the taxation policy of the Pallavas and the Badami Chalukya period. The Pallavas and Badami Chalukyas levied different taxes on the people. Mostly they collected land taxes, professional taxes, taxes on trade, judicial fines, tax on commercial goods also the sources of revenue of the state during the Pallava period. There are many terms which we get it from the inscription of the Pallavas. There are many taxes, dues are variously referred in the Pallava inscription, such as Vari, Ayam, Kanam, Tandam, Karai, Kadamai. These are some technical terms the Pallava use in their inscriptions. The inscription on copper plates of Badami Chalukyas also speaks about the various technical terms for the taxes. From their inscription, we can find some terms like Klipta, Ubarikara, Parikara and Udaranga. These are some general taxes which are collected from the people of the regions. The practice of collecting of land revenue was in practice. The land revenue was the main source of income of the people, as well as it is the income of the state. There are many terms for the land revenue. The Pallava records speaks of the Puravuppan. That means a tax which collected in money on cultivable lands. The land revenues were spent for the temple and its maintenance only. So that land revenue also used for the fill up the treasury of the state. Mostly the donated lands to the Brahmadeya or the Devadana, it's totally exempted from the land tax. Another example of the tax-free payment, we get it from the inscriptional evidences, that is Irai Kaval. That means a kind of a tax exemption which the landowners they exempted from the payment of the taxes from the people. The Pallavas levied taxes on different professional groups also. inscription and copper plates give evidences to a different kind of the professional taxes which imposed on the people and imposed on a different occupational groups. So mainly the Kasukudi and Velur Palayam copper plates of the Pallavas, which speaks about the 18 kind of taxes in their records. On the basis of the 18 kind of the taxes on the occupation groups or the professional groups, the following taxes are some of them which consider as the important taxes which collected from the professional groups. Mostly the Ilam Pucci, which levied on the dirty trappers, Tattukanam on the goldsmith, Kushakanam on the potters, Kattikanam on the blacksmith, Kalyanakanam tax which is tax collected during the marriage, Idai Pucci on shepherd, Tarikurai on weavers, Sungavari, it is a kind of excise duty which they collect from the through commercial transaction. So there are some other taxes also they collected. On the basis of this tax collection, the state they fill the revenue, they manage their administration as well as the other part of the revenue collection from there. The manufacture of the salt was a royal monopoly. There is a term in the inscriptions which Uppu Kochai refers to the royal manufacture of the salt. Sugar also manufactured by state. There were taxes on Ajvikas, Nahalar and well tickers. Attukanam, which is considered as the tax on sheep or any animal tax. Ettukanam, those who used water lift for irrigations, mostly the agriculturalists, they have to pay the tax on the using of the state irrigation method to the state. The people also paid other payments. The Hyderabad Crimes of the Pulication II speaks about the different dues, that is called the different taxes which referred in the inscription as the Nidhi, Ubanidhi, Klipta, Ubarikara. These are the technical terms which they used for the collecting taxes from the people. The records of the Badami Chalukya speaks of various kind of taxes which imposed on the people, that mainly the Nashuri plates mention two terms which Udaranga, Parihara, the terms seems to imply it's a market dues, and to there mainly the traders, they had to pay these two taxes to the state directly and in their administrative system. Then other taxes also they collected from the people. It is called these, beside these general taxes, there were some occasional tax mentioned in the Chalukya inscription. The term Therapon, tribute in gold, levied on every villages. Some special levy collected on festival occasion. They occasionally collected a donation for the temple maintenance also. So on the basis of these kind of the economic developments, economic changes in the Badami Chalukyas and the Pallavas, if you consider the significance of the economy of fourth dynasty, mainly was important in the economic development. The period was witnessed considerable changes in the agrarian field. New settlements were created. Many forest lands became cultivable lands. Trade and commerce also flourished during both the dynasties. Many taxes were collected for the maintenance of the state administration as well as the regular practice of the state and the government. Apart from the most significant changes in the Pallavas and Badami Chalukya period, they brought many the waste and forest land under the cultivation. That is the most significant economic aspect of the Pallava and the Badami Chalukya period. So thank you very much.